Hi guys, PLO Warrior here. You know me and I know you. So in this episode, it is the complete guide to heads up PLO. And we're looking at adapting to aggressive opponents. This specific opponent was 3-betting me really high frequency. So overall, he's 3-betting me like 32%, as you can see, nearly 33% over 2,000 hands. But in this session, he was 3-betting me more like 80% of hands. It was ridiculous. And he was C-betting like 75% of hands. So obviously we need to adapt to somebody like that. So how would you adapt to somebody that's like 3-betting every hand and basically C-betting every flop? Well, first of all, you'd fold more of the bottom of your range on the button and just let him have the small blind. And then you start limping some medium strength hands and some stronger strength hands also. We'd also want to 4-bet more hands that we wouldn't always 4-bet against other people. We would be 4-betting for value against him. We'd be raising more flops as he's C-betting he's getting to the flop with too many hands and C-betting. So we'd be raising more flops with draws, sort of weakish draws. Sometimes just blockers, sometimes just backdoor draws. We'll be floating more flops and raising more turns, as he's just going to have air so often, and generally just folding less by the river than other opponents. So let's get into it here. This specific opponent, I was actually losing the most to him heads up than anyone else. But it wasn't like he was outplaying me. Like, it was just, he's been backdooring like, you know, ace high flushes against my queen high flushes and just complete setups most of the time. So I kept seeking to play him just because, you know, not of an ego thing, but I obviously think I'm a better player than him. I definitely think I've got more experience than anybody at 20 PLO. So there's no reason why I can't beat somebody like this. So I always seek to play him when I see him at the tables. Plus, if I think someone is actually better than me anyway, I'm not saying this guy is, but I'm just saying if I think somebody was better than me, I would be actually seeking to play them just because you learn a lot from it anyway. So, I mean, if you're a really weak player and you're just constantly trying to play someone better than you, it is still good, but unless you're able to learn why you're being, you know, why you're getting beaten, it's not going to be so useful to you. But if somebody's outplaying me, I'm pretty quick at picking up what I was doing wrong, so it's quite useful for me. But let's just jump into the hands anyway. So we open a double paired hand, super standard, and he just flat calls in this scenario. We flop the top set, and he's being super sticky, so like I don't really want to be betting small or anything. If I'm like potting the flop, like he's still going to be just like bluffing me a lot, so I go ahead and pot the flop. Flat calling. Turn is a great card for us. And he checks. We still bet, like almost pot. And he goes for pretty much the min raise. No point in getting excited here and raising. This is a pretty simple hand. I'm sure everybody just makes the same decision here and just flat calls. And then he checks the river. So it's most likely he was just having a bluff and just giving up. But you know, in case he does have a deuce, or like an overpair of hearts. Well, I'm shoving anyway, but just hoping he has those hands. And he does call, and he had a deuce. And it's interesting that he didn't shove the river because obviously no straights get there. So if I did have like an overpair here, like I don't know if I would shove the river after he's raised the turn. I mean, it looks like he has a busted draw, but he's not calling with that anyway. So I don't know why he didn't shove the river, but I'd say that wasn't very much like him in this session, just to be checking the river after he's obviously got a strong hand and he's like always calling the river anyway. I don't know how many like complete bluffs he's inducing or how many worse hands he's getting me to value bet, like aces or kings. So not sure why he did that. On to the next hand. We open deuces. It is a weak hand, but like I'm fine with flat calling here. Without the suit, I would just fold, but it's like semi-connected badly. But I could see if this could just be a fold. I wouldn't be shocked if it was just a fold on the button, but I like to play the pots in position against him. And we flop bottom set. He goes ahead and bets. And like I said, in this session, the guy is playing crazy, and you will see what I mean by that. So what I'm about to do here, I would never do like against anyone else. Obviously, the standard play is usually just a flat call here, because if you raise, like, you're getting all non-flush hands to fold, really. Like, you're getting all better hands to continue here. Like, he's not folding a set of jacks or a set of fours. He's probably not folding any flush. So, like, all of those hands that beat us just continue. And all the hands that we're crushing with a set of deuces, like, if he has just, like, kings with the spade, aces with the spade, like, he might just fold, for example. So I go for a raise, and the reason is, against this guy in this session, I don't think he's folding like even a jack. If he has a jack with 3 overs, I don't think he'd be folding. Like, I think he was just a mega tilt. So that's the reason why I'm raising here. Plus, we do want to mix in some raises, because obviously he's c-betting so much, 3-betting and c-betting so much that, like I said, we need to raise more flops. So we can't just raise more flops when we have nothing. Like, we have to raise some hands that aren't the nuts. So, like, I could raise here, like, the queen high, king high, and ace high flush, and any set, basically. So those are kind of the hands that I might raise on this flop. So I decide to raise the set, and he jams on us. So we call it off, and he ends up having ace, king, 6, 7. So no pair, no draw, basically. So that's what I mean about shoving and him continuing with just any pair or better. So basically him shoving here is him saying to us that he only thinks that we are raising the ace of spades blocker here. He doesn't think we ever raise a flush here. So he thinks we're literally raising to 8 and then folding with the ace of spades, which is obviously just one hand. That's basically what he's saying. And even then, like, he has, well, I guess we're folding if we just have the ace of spades here, nothing else. So, but yeah, I mean, he's clutching at straws there, really. So, but yeah, obviously you win. That would be ridiculous to lose that hand. Just go on to the next hand here. Open with double pair. Let 3-bet again, no doubt. And flat calling. Flop middle set. And he c-bets. So against most normal opponents, I'm just flat calling here most of the time. We do have a backdoor flush draw. However, against this guy, I'm adapting against him. You saw he just stacked off with no pair. So if I raise here, I expect him to stack off with any straight, any flush draw, any queen 10, even any jack 10, maybe even a hand like 9-10, so like bottom pair and the bottom straight draw. So we don't want to call here and, you know, a queen comes and he's got 9-10 and he just gives up, or a diamond comes and he just gives up. So we can get the money in such good shape just by raising here. I mean, even if he does have a straight, I mean, we still have like close to 40% equity because we've got backdoor flush draw as well. So it's never a mistake to raise here against this dude. But obviously against other guys, I'll play it differently, but we're adapting against this guy, so we need to look for different kind of hands to raise on the flop than we would normally. So we jam with second set, and he gets it in with just a naked 8 high flush draw. So as you can see, he's only got 26%. So getting it in, crushing him, but unfortunately he gets there, but that's going to happen. On to the next one. So double suited queens, open, and we decide to 3-bet, and he 4-bets. And basically I wouldn't jam this against most people, but against this guy it's an absolutely clear jam. So it's obvious how we're adapting here. We're just jamming double suited queens. I'd obviously be jamming kings as well, and maybe a hand like, you know, jack jack, 9-10 jack jack double suited probably as well. So, and he gets it in with 4, 6, 7, 8 double suited, and we flop him dead. And on to the next one. Decide to flat call. No point 3-betting this hand. It would be just, well, you could do it, but I just don't see much point in flatting the pot against this guy. Plus he can 4-bet quite a lot, so against a 4-bet we have to fold for sure. So flop top 2, and we just go for a different kind of approach with donking here. So we're happy to get it in. Obviously we've got backdoor flush draw, we've got backdoor straight draws, and against this dude in this session, be happy to get in. So he raises here, and I actually go for, just to mix it up, I decide to flat call. The thing is, I can't be sure that he has a heart or anything, so I can't actually think of many turns that I would be folding. I probably would fold on a heart just because we have top 2 pair, right? So we block decent sets and 2 pairs. We also have the 9 blocker for like 6, 7, 9, 7, 9 jack, 9 jack queen. So I just think this really does skew his range towards the flush draws. Plus we do have 1 heart, but it's only the 8 of hearts. So if we have like the king of hearts here or the ace of hearts, it would be a different story. But I think his most likely hand would be a flush draw in this situation. So by us calling and him being so ultra aggressive, like he could have a hand like jack queen of hearts, like a flush draw and a gut shot, or just like 3 overs and a flush draw. But I think if we're flat calling here, he's always like betting the turn, and we manage to get it in with a lot more equity. Whereas if we just jam here, like we might be just a small favourite against this flush draw and a gut shot, or flush draw and over pair, for example. So we just flat call his raise, and I never think he would expect us to have top 2 pair here. So if the turn is like a 10 or an 8, obviously it's a great result for us, and he's always going to be bluffing those cards because he's never expecting us to have top 2 pair. So the turn is the 4 diamonds, and we checked him as planned, and sure enough he just pots it. So now we're getting it in, and he ends up having ace, king, queen, 4. So he did have the hearts. The 4 is actually a great card for him because now you can hit an ace, a king, or a queen, right? But if we just go back to the flop there, you can see I'd be like 57-43, but by seeing the turn card, we do get some more equity. I mean, if that was a different card, if that was a 6 instead of a 4, because it pairs up his 4, we would have even more equity, because then he can't hit his ace, king, or the queen. But yeah, as you can see, we get it in better there, just by flat calling the turn. And now we just go on to the next hand, please. Open double suited rundown, flat calls, flop bottom pair, and he pots it, and I'm getting it in because there's a low SPR. We've only got bottom pair, but we've got a gut shot and we've got 2 backdoor flush draws, so it's correct just to get it all in there. Something that I wouldn't always do against other people, but against this guy, obviously the theme of the video is looking for more hands to stack off with versus him, and he has a legitimate hand, but as you can see, we're actually a favourite with all our outs here, and turn the straight, river the straight flush, so that's fine. Okay, and then at that point I actually changed my name, because you can change your name on these sites, which is great. You can change your name on these sites every 1,000 hands, so he quit me after that, and then I just changed my name, and then he came back. It's totally legitimate. So we raise here, and he 3-bets us. It's a pretty weak hand, but like I say, we need to be defending some more of our sort of medium strength hands, probably folding more of our just absolute weak hands. But flop the flush, and he goes for a pot size bet, so we have to float once, and then he checks, and we just check back, hoping for him to bluff the river. and then he pots the river. At this point, I hated the pot on the river. I was thinking like it definitely looks like he has a full house. If he had a flush, I think he just barrels the turn in the river. Also, if he had the ace of clubs, I think he just barrels the turn in the river. So at this point, I didn't think he had the ace of clubs, but I just think it's so unlikely to have a set here. So I just paid him off, and it's really unfortunate. He had the ace of clubs, but he had 9-4 for the full house. So I see this kind of thing a lot where people are kind of bluffing. You know, obviously on the flop, he's just got the ace of clubs, like he's got no equity whatsoever. And then on the turn, he picks up top and middle pair. So now he's like, oh, actually I've got some showdown value. Like I don't want to bluff with this hand. And I do see that a lot. Whereas if the turn was like the deuce, he would probably bluff with the ace of clubs still. But because he's actually got 2 pair, he doesn't want to bluff anymore. So I think for me to lose that hand, he actually specifically has to have the ace of clubs with 2 pair that hit a full house in the river. Because I think if he has a set on the flop, if he has like set of 7s, 4s or 3s, I think he's just potting the turn. I just think that's what he's doing in this session. So yeah, I actually think he has to have that kind of hand for us to be beat there. But yeah, we can't fold the flush there, but that hand kind of makes sense. So on to the next. Double suited queens again. So opening and he's 3-betting, and similar to earlier on, I'm just 4-betting this hand because it's too good to fold against him. And he ends up actually having double suited kings. Great turn card for us though, but no dice. But yeah, if he's going to keep 3-betting or 4-betting, like obviously I'm keeping these hands, definitely have to go into my jamming range. I mean, they don't have to. I mean, obviously I have to do some of it, but I can still see flops. But if the flop's coming like deuce, deuce, 4, I can't just fold to like a flop bet or a turn bet, presuming he has aces or kings, you know, because he's not going to have them that often, the amount he's 3-betting and 4-betting me. And on to the last hand here. So 6, 7, 8, 10. So we open and he 3-bets. Super standard call. Flop bottom pair and just go for a check. Turn is the king of clubs. He bets. We've got the 8 of clubs blocker, which is quite a significant blocker because the jack, the queen and the king are all out there. It would be better to have the 10 of clubs, or the 10 of clubs would be way better, or the ace of clubs, but we do have a 10 anyway, so it's kind of, you know, 25% likely, 25% less likely he's got the straight here. And also we have the club, so I decided to go for a bit more than a min raise here. Similar to what I did earlier on when I had the set, and he just jams on us, so we have to fold, and he ends up showing us absolutely nothing. So he's got no blockers at all. So it's interesting to note that obviously he has no blockers, so when we raise here, he's just jamming. I understand his play if he has the ace of clubs, but also I don't understand his play too much because he's seen us stack off with bottom set on a flush draw, on a flush board. So if I have 8 high flush here, like I wouldn't be folding. If I have like ace 10, so like the nut straight with like the ace of clubs, maybe I wouldn't fold either, because I've just seen him do crazy things. So after we've seen him do this, you know, it's clear that we can't fold pretty much. The hand in the last hand makes it more sense. Sorry, the first hand. You know, when I rivered well, I got the 10 high flush and he's rivered a full house. I definitely can never fold this hand there. If he's going to jam with no blockers, and if you have no blockers and you're bluffing, then like you're bluffing way too often in a hand. Like he doesn't have even a 10, He has an ace, but ace diamond, has no club at all. It's just like a really bad hand to do it. So he thinks we're just raising the turn with like a hand that we're folding. In this case we are, but you know, adapting to him. I'm never folding any flush here. I'm probably not folding a straight with a club here. Ace of clubs, 10 of clubs. But yeah, that concludes the video basically. As you can see, I adapted to him, and I ended up winning all the money back off him that I have been down off the site. I think, as you see, I'm only down. Oh, he's down $5 to €5 to me now. I think before, I don't know how many buy-ins I was down, but I was down a lot by him. But I adapted well. I didn't always play like this, but I just wanted to make a video for the PLO guide, adapting to aggressive 3-betters and C-betters instead of just autopiloting. So I hope that was interesting, and stay tuned for the next video there, please guys. Thank you very much.